Okay, we should be back?
Yep.
Okay, yes. I don't know. The computer died. We're having some USB port issues. Lewis, are you still there?
Yes, sir.
Okay, we're going to try to get back into this thing. What did you think of Nashville post-race?
Nashville obviously has a lot of hype around it. I would say that Nashville and East Rutherford have the most hype, right?
I think so. Sure.
As far as like general vibe.
Yeah, besides A1, yeah.
Yeah, but I'm talking as in like whole experience, as far as like location, city,
yeah,
blah blah blah. Like as far as entire experience. I wasn't really expecting to think much of Nashville, but it was actually really good. Who would have thought?
So what did you like about it? You and I, we met up a little bit later in the evening, Saturday night, going into the Monster Party. You relaxed a little bit, hung out, and you were having a good time. It was a different Lewis than I'm used to seeing.
Are you saying that I don't have a good time normally? I mean, I'm not having a good time right now.
I think you focus very, very heavily on work, and you don't always allow yourself to have just to relax. And I saw...
Let me tell you.
Okay.
I model my life after the great Chase Sexton. And he also focuses on work and focuses on being the best that he can be. So that's what I try to do.
And you do a good job of that. But Chase Sexton also takes some time to relax and have some fun. And you did that Saturday night. You and Sean came out. Sean Ogden, our, what we call him, our graphics guy, our videographer. He's a jack of most trades.
Multimedia manager.
Yeah, Sean's a good guy. You guys came out and we had some fun. We hung out. You hung out with Chase. Chase got you into the party because we didn't have enough passes, and Chase saved the day.
See, I feel like people are taking it way too. No. What? Do you like? It's humorous how I try and work Chase into every conversation. It's not a serious thing. Just to clarify, I kind of see it as a little achievement every time I've managed to worm him into every conversation. So
okay,
far.
Yeah.
No, like I'm interested in similar breath. I'm interested to see what Denver's going to be like because I've never been to any of these places, so I'm kind of going in completely blind. I've never heard much about Denver. I've never heard much about Salt Lake City. So, like, for me to go to these places, see these stadiums for the first time, see what these states are like, these cities are like, I kind of feel like I've got a very fresh perspective. Very, like, it's all new to me. So I feel like I should write a book, like a beginner's guide to Supercross.
Not a bad idea. But being
it's just one of my many ideas.
One of your many. Being a guy that doesn't really care about music, how was walking around with all the sound, all the people, a lot of music going on in the club that night? Did you enjoy any of that?
I thought that Nashville was meant to be a big country place.
Not
I
anymore.
didn't really hear much country music.
Yeah, it's not so much. I mean, it is the country music capital of the world, and there is a lot of country music there, but there's a lot of rock and roll music there now. Honestly, it's probably the music capital of the world now. Most bands, groups have moved out of like LA or even Austin, and they're there. That's what Nashville is now.
See, again, I'm green to all of these things. I don't know much. I just go in, hope for the best, hope I don't get killed. Obviously, I was told that I was going to get killed in Nashville. I'm not sure if I'm going to get killed in Denver, but we'll see.
I think you told me that. Who told you were going to get killed in Nashville? Was that a Steve Mathis thing?
Yes.
That doesn't surprise me at all.
He told me not to open my mouth because if anyone heard my accent, then they were killed.
And then I saw you tweet something about cowboy hats. Did that also come from him?
Yeah, he said that I needed to buy a cowboy hat as soon as I land to try and blend into the crowd a little more.
Yeah, that's Steve.
That would not have worked. I don't think.
that's Steve just being Steve and trying to mess with you, unfortunately.
I would have looked like a massive twat with a cowboy hat. That would not have worked with the British guy persona.
I'm not going to comment on my opinions on cowboy hats in general. So we're going to move on because we have our first guest of the night on the line. FXR is designed by racers for racers with industry-leading fit, finish, and performance. Progression is the name of the game with every new piece created. At FXR, we push our brand to the next level to provide you with the best product possible. Visit fxrracing.com to see the numerous gear lines and colorways, as well as their snow lines, even though it's about to be summertime, and lifestyle casual wear. Tonight, FXR brings us from the HRC Factory Honda team, Chase Sexton. What's up, Chase?
How's it going, guys?
Going good, man. We don't have a lot of time with you tonight, so I want to start. I'm going to ask you the same question I asked you in the press conference because I don't know if everybody heard it, and I'd like to get a little more detail about just with 2 races to go and the championship pretty much settled. Where does your motivation come from going into these last 2? But before you answer, I'd like Lewis to give his opinion on this because I have a feeling he has one.
What, you want me to give my opinion now?
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, no, that's a dumb question.
Okay.
So you asked that question in the press conference?
I did. I just asked it again, Lewis.
He did ask that question in the press conference.
If I was in the press conference, I would have stood up, smacked that mic out of your hand, and ripped your credential off of your neck. No, the motivation is to win. Winning out will be nice. If nothing is over, we've got 2 rounds to go, anything can happen. The motivation is to win each week. It's obvious, right?
Yeah. He pretty much said it word for word. It's never over till it's over.
That's true.
Yeah, my goal is to win the races. Yeah, I don't know. That's my game plan. Motivation comes, or I guess winning is motivating. So, and if I race, if I'm going to the race, I want to win. So that's enough motivation in itself.
Well, and I think that's a fantastic answer. That's kind of what I expected, but that's why I asked it, to hear the answer. Sometimes, Lewis...
I don't know what I said in the press conference. I don't know what I said about it. Well, probably something like that.
It was similar, but it wasn't... Yeah, your answer tonight was a lot better. So, props. You've improved on your answer, Chase. I like it.
I was tired in that press conference, so half of my answers are probably delirious.
It was only it was like early. It wasn't even that late, Chase. And
but I don't know. I didn't sleep very good the night before. And those early races, dude, I mean, it's 6 o'clock. You got to get up, and then you're on the track at 7:30. I missed the first lap of practice last weekend. So
I didn't even notice that. Wow. Yeah, that was an early race for sure. But hey.
Yeah, I missed the first lap of free practice, which doesn't really matter. But yeah, I was a little late to the party.
Well, that's all right. Before I let Lewis ask his question, how did you like the city of Nashville? We kind of all were out in the town a little bit later that evening, even if we were tired. The city, I'm in love with that city, Chase. I want to move there.
Yeah, dude, I was walking down Broadway and it was like so packed. I don't know what else is going on there that weekend, or it's just always like that, but it was packed. And I don't know. It's a cool city, especially when you win in it. It makes it a lot better. But no, it's a really cool city. I think I haven't really got to check out the city that much. I was only down there for maybe a couple hours. I would have liked to go on and we didn't stay there. Like, our hotel was at the airport, so I only got to see it when I was literally at the race, or like when I was downtown after. So yeah, it's cool. I mean, there's a reason a lot of people go there. It's a fun town, and I wasn't dressed to the right attire. I needed a cowboy hat or something, but maybe next time.
Okay. Lewis, go ahead, man.
Well, building on what I asked you after the race, you said that you feel like you've turned a corner mentally since Glendale, and obviously you've been great since then. Some people would say you've been great all season, but that's just me. I feel like I feel like the whole mental thing was overplayed in the middle part of the season. Like, I really do. Like, okay, you can take some of the blame, but there are also other things that have to take the blame as well for the mistakes or whatever.
Yeah.
So it was never all mental, was it?
No. It's. I mean, yeah, it's partly on me. Some other stuff we had to like figure out just with bike testing and all that. Like, I don't know. It definitely was a big talking point, and like, dude, I couldn't even go on social media without seeing it. Like, whether it was people commenting on my Instagram, like the commentators talking about it. I don't know. I couldn't go on my phone without seeing it, which was kind of like maybe at that point it starts to get mental, because you're like, man, like that's all I see. It's all I can think about is just these late race mistakes. So I guess it was really after the break. It was Seattle. I crashed while leading, and then after that, I mean, I left Seattle. Like, it was weird because I wasn't even like, I was bummed for sure, but it was like I was usually after the races like that, I'm super like don't want to talk to anybody, super mad. Like after Seattle, I was like, man, like it was weird because I was like in a like not a good mood, but I was like down to talk to whatever. Like I was not like, I was definitely bummed, but I wasn't. It was just a weird mood. Like I was almost like I was just like defeated. And then I came back. I rode in California only one day. I took that week pretty much off, and I went to Santa Barbara, hung out with my trainer. My girlfriend lives up there, and I kind of just hit the reset button a little bit, and came back for Scottsdale and had a good race there. And then really from there, it's just been, once you have those good races in a row, it's just you gain confidence. And I've changed a few things up in my day-to-day schedule riding wise, and then we also tested the week before Scottsdale just to get me more confident later in the races, and it's paid off so far. I mean, season's not over by any means, but I feel like as a rider I've gained that confidence back, because I've never 250 class, I never really had these problems, like never like late race mistakes, never really crashed that much in the 250 class. Obviously it's a 450, but I just needed to get back to where I was confident later in the races, which I'm like, my fitness is really good. I should be good. That's where I should be attacking, and I shouldn't be making these mistakes. So now mentally, I just feel a lot better. And yeah, it's pretty much just all those little things came together, and now I feel like I'm not turning the corner, but I'm definitely on the right track at this point.
Yeah, this is kind of what I presumed earlier. Like, I was thinking about this, and I don't think you ever actually struggled mentally. I think other people put that on you by saying it so much that at that point it's impossible to ignore, which sucks. Yeah. And what sucks even more is now that you've kind of fixed this, no one's giving you credit for that or like acknowledging that, which
no,
the
people,
whole situation sucks.
It doesn't really matter at this point. People they'll yeah, it's just, now it's all they don't even acknowledge it. So I mean, I guess it's a good thing. If they're not saying anything, that's good. So yeah, it's whatever. I just keep winning races, and that's all I can do.
That's it.
Yeah, Chase, just a little bit of the same kind of topic. I've really admired your resiliency this season. I feel like you've hung in there, even though things didn't always go as planned. You've stayed strong, and you've proven, and also you've stayed healthy and been there the whole entire season, which is, a big thing for a guy younger in his career. And we've also seen, Tomac had a couple struggle years, RV, RC, Stewart, they all had that same thing. Do you feel like through this lessons of resiliency that you've kind of checked those last boxes, that now you know what it takes to do the championship, and then kind of going into outdoors now, is it kind of like a redemption motivation kind of thing?
Yeah, I mean, I've just always been taught, everyone going up, you never give up. And I mean, through the hard times, I feel like that's when you make the most strides. And for me, I acknowledged when I was having those crashes, like, okay, this is like the time you need to kind of push through and not be not quit and give up. And it's just, yeah, it's the right answer is never giving up. So for me, I just try to stay positive. And when you're super negative, I feel like those things just happen easier. So I just try to stay positive, and I think I'd like to think I checked those boxes off. It just seems like every year everyone has their problems they have to face, and no year is ever just perfect. So you always have things that come up. But for me right now, I definitely feel like my season this year compared to last year's Supercross season is light years above where I was. Obviously I had that great outdoor season last year, which you can't, it's just super hard to kind of connect Supercross and motocross because it is so different. And you have different guys that are good at Supercross, good at outdoors. Obviously you have Eli that's very good at both. So my goal is to obviously be that guy where I can compete for championships in both series. So this year in Supercross, my goal is coming in was to compete for a championship and hopefully come out on top at the end of the year. And I needed obviously everything to go as planned to do that. I've had some, like you said, some struggles, but I feel like overall I've definitely progressed a lot this year. Speed is definitely, even last year being fast, I feel like I'm faster this year, and my consistency is getting better. I think I had that one race where I crashed in Indy where I was outside the top 10 so far. And And then I think every other race I've been in the top 5. So, and then obviously Detroit where I got doxed those 7 points. So besides from those races, I think it's been overall solid so far. But like I said, we got 2 more races to go, and if I can win these 2, and that's the goal, is to put my best foot forward, and we'll see what happens. But yeah, overall, I'm just pumped with the progression I've made, and definitely overcoming some of those hurdles this year. So at least at this point, is good, and just going to try and keep progressing.
So I saw earlier that, like, on Instagram, that you and Kenny were out there having fun on the Supercross track, and I didn't know, is that just trying to keep yourself mentally sane while trying to battle for this championship?
No, I mean, I feel like I deal with not pressure, but like, I guess you could say pressure situations. It doesn't really affect me so much like during the week. Even in outdoors last year, I was pretty like loose, and I mean, I think it's how you have to go about it, especially if you think you're going to be competing for championships throughout your whole career. Because I mean, that stuff can weigh you down. And Eli, I mean, I think he's kind of mastered that. So for me today, I mean, Kenny and I have been riding together quite a bit. We do gym together, bike rides, pretty much almost every day. We're training together during the week, which is cool because Kenny and I, we started when I moved to Florida. He was kind of my mentor basically when I was on 250s. He won, I mean, pretty much every moto that outdoor season when I moved to Florida. So he's kind of been my mentor. And then we kind of went through this weird spell where I moved to the 450 class and we were competing against each other. We were on the same team, but our relationship kind of got weird. We didn't really talk that much. We were never were like enemies or anything, but we kind of went through this weird part in our relationship. And now we're back. Like, I feel like we're closer really than ever. And we race each other hard, but we always are clean, obviously. And he's a great racer. And it's been fun to have him as a little bit of a training partner because he's in a really good spot, honestly. I feel like he's definitely the happiest and the best he's been off the bike in a long time. So it's been cool. We pushed each other today. We did motos together, which is always fun. And we did a little bit of goon riding after the motos. I went on the track. He was testing something, and I had my goggles like wrapped around my neck basically. And so then we just started messing around. So, but yeah, it's always fun. You got to keep the mood light because the weekends are obviously game time. So during the week, you got to have a little bit of fun.
Yeah, that's really good to hear because, like you said, you got to find that sanity in between all the expectations, everything going on, and to be able to have fun and ride with a guy like that at that level keeps you on point. I got one more for you. I think Lewis might have one to wrap up, and we'll let you go. This is only your 3rd season in the 450 class, and your progression has been absolutely stellar. What do you feel like, looking back on these last couple seasons, what have you learned about yourself as a competitor and just as a person dealing with the adversities and the struggles of being a professional athlete?
Man, it's hard to kind of pinpoint one thing. I mean, it's coming to the 450 class. I mean, I had 2, especially my last year in the 250 class. In my second year, I only won 1 race. I obviously won the championship, but Austin, he had some obviously misfortunes. But that kind of like that next year, I came in and I won 5 races. Was pretty, I feel like, really solid. And then I got moved to the 450 class like right away, which I'm happy that it worked out that way. I feel like I'm better on the 450 as far as just riding, and my riding style fits the bike. I'm a bigger guy. So I think I got moved up pretty fast. So maybe I was a little bit naive that I could just go in and win right away. Not knowing how hard it is I feel like I really struggled with, I guess, bike setup, and on the 450, I haven't, I'm pretty comfortable this year, in outdoors last year, but besides that, I hadn't been super comfortable. So it's just hard to set up a 450. They have so much weight and so much power. I've dealt with that, struggled with that a lot, and it drags into pretty much your whole life. When you're not comfortable on the dirt bike and you have to go perform on it, it's not the best feeling. So that I've struggled with. And I mean, just the season is pretty long and grueling. I feel like I've done a good job at managing that. It's last year was my first full year of all the races, and it was gnarly, but I feel like at the end of the year I was still like ready to go. So just that, and the competition is just a whole nother level from the 250 class. I think when you're in the 250 class, you're just really naive on how good the guys are on 450s. Like they're the premier guys, and the track's gnarly, or no one really understands how tough it is to race in Supercross and on 450, and especially outdoors, just with the tracks being gnarlier, bikes are heavier, guys are better. It's just a whole nother level. So just that, and bike setup stuff. It takes a toll on you if you're not comfortable. So just those little things and how to manage that is kind of one thing I've had to learn. I've had to mature a lot since I got on the 450, but that's also just me growing up as well. So there's a lot of things I could hit on, but it's just those are kind of the main things.
Yeah, great answer. Chase Sexton, brought to you by FXR tonight. Lewis, wrap it up.
I'll let you go with a nice easy one. No matter what happens in the last 2 rounds, I think you've got to be stoked with how this year's gone. You've got 11 podiums so far, same as Tomac. That's the same number of podiums that Tomac had last year when he won the championship. So clearly you're both at a very high level already. That's a massive step up from where you were last year as well. You said earlier that you've dropped outside of the top 10 once, but you're actually in the top 10 in Indy, so let's not sell ourselves short on that. Overall, it's just been amazing no matter what happens these last 2 weeks.
Yeah. That's kind of how I'm looking at it. Even going into this weekend I was coming to Nashville, I feel like, I guess I should say I'm happy, obviously, with how I've been riding. I think I don't know how many poles I have. I think maybe it's 12 this year. I think 12 poles. I missed 3. So just with my speed, and I feel like the potential that I do have, I still feel like I haven't even touched even came close to my ceiling yet. So I guess that's something that's positive I can look forward to. And my season's been good. I got my biggest thing was I was stuck on 1 win this year for a little bit. I'm like, dude, I can't win 1 race this whole year. I gotta start clicking these things off. So I think that's cool to have. I have 4 now, and hopefully we can get a few more towards the end. But it's been a positive season. My goal is just if I can keep progressing and get better each season I'm racing, that's the biggest thing for me, because I feel like I'm good right now, but if I can get better and better and better, it's only going to be a good thing. So that's what I'm pumped on, not getting stagnant and just keep getting better. So that's just positive. And like I said, I got 2 more rounds, but overall just keeping a positive outlook on it, and happy with how it's been going. It always can be better, so that's something I keep chasing.
Fantastic. Chase, I know you want to get back to dinner with your family. Thank you for your time tonight. Good seeing you out at the Monster Party, hanging out and just socializing. Good times in Nashville. Lewis, you want to say goodbye before we let him go?
I'll let him. Wait, I need to tell him this stat that I figured out.
Oh, okay.
Chase has never won a 450 Supercross that I haven't been at. So that's where we're at.
Yep. He's you're 5-0.
And I'm going to be at the last 2 rounds, so we're on. All
right. That's all we needed to hear.
Chase, thank you so much, man. Have a good evening.
Yeah, thanks, guys. Appreciate it.
All right, bud. See ya.
Bye.
That's Chase Sexton. Great times, Lewis. Good interview, man. That was some good stuff.
I think he may think I'm a joke.
I don't think you're in your head too much. We're not even going to get into that. No, he does not.
Well, he was lapping it up when I said something like, you've been great recently. Some people would say you've been great all season.
That was
funny.
He
was laughing that up. He loved that.
He laughed because it was funny. Good stuff. Yeah, you're in your head. You're in your head too much. Go ahead.
Question.
Yeah.
Was his phone breaking up for you, or was it just me on my line?
Sounded good.
Yeah, sounded good on this end.
Okay. I just thought that was a me issue. Just wanted to make sure.
Yeah, I never had any problems that I noticed. So, man. Before we let you go, can you give me your 6D picks for Denver? My shouldn't be that hard to pick.
Oh, let's see. Wait, 450, yeah?
Yeah, 450. I know who your winner is.
Could you mind not interrupting me? Thank you. Sexton first. Sexton first, Tomac second, Roxon third, and I'll give you. I won't be on next week, so that will also be my picks for Salt Lake City.
Okay.
Yep. Yeah, just that's where we're at.
Easy enough. Lewis, thanks for jumping on here. We'll talk to you real soon, man.
Okay, thanks for having me. I'd also like to say, Jamie, quickly.
Yep.
Tomorrow is my birthday, and you getting Chase on was the best birthday present I ever could have had. So thank you.
Well, I did not know your birthday was tomorrow, so happy early birthday. And you're welcome.
Thank you. And you did that for me. Thank you.
Well, I did ask him to come on because I knew you were going to be on. That part is true.
Yeah. All right. Well, thanks for having me.
How old are you going to be, Lewis?
Oh, my God.
We're not going to go into that.
All right, cool.
All right. We'll talk to you soon, Lewis. Thank you.
All right. See ya.
See ya. All right. Lewis Phillips, let him go. Yeah, that was a good interview. I think there was a lot of good stuff. I wish we could have asked him some more questions, but yeah, he had some other things going on that our time schedule is kind of interrupted. But yeah, brought to you by FXR. Doc, let's just get into you and your weekend just for a minute before we got Duff coming up here in just a little bit. Yeah, we mentioned, once again, second night show, quote unquote. It was a day show. I don't think that actually has anything to do with it. But you did sort of say that you feel worse, like more nervous during the day show? Or what did you say?
The day show, I don't feel awake.
Okay,
at all.
yeah.
Like I
Chase
just
kinda
come into the morning and I'm just like, blah, blah. But then by the time second qualifying comes around, I feel better than I do than the night show second qualifying.
What
I don't
do you
know
think
what it
that's?
is.
You don't know what that's about. You
I
can't.
mean, I also came in, like, I got hurt at Houston, shoulder issues,
Yep.
and I'm finally not feeling that anymore.
Okay.
So I think it might also have something to do with that, even if it's not a conscious thought. But yeah, I mean, I don't know what it is. I think I'm just riding better now, to be honest.
How do you feel like, say, a couple races ago when you first coming into this thing and qualifying and the struggles compared to now when you go into qualifying? Do you feel like you're adapting and adjusting quicker in free practice to the track so that when qualifying one starts, you're more prepared?
I think I'm just getting everything out of the way. Like,
Okay.
The first couple rounds, I was just struggling to hit everything in the free practice. Like I would hit 90% of the stuff, but that 10%. I mean, that's what I started hitting. I just made sure I hit everything in free practice, and that just gets it out of your mind. Okay, I can hit it, no issues. And then, yeah, I mean, other than that, I'm more confident, and I think it also brought my aggression. Trust me, I know. I'm more confident, and I think that brought my aggression up.
That could have been the worst possible voice pop timing, I think. Hey, so was that the hardest track that you've had to ride this season?
Not at all. That was probably other than the Dragon's Back, that was probably the easiest track, just because it was one rhythm across the whole track for everyone.
Then why do you think that there was so much carnage? You're just getting ready or I don't know.
I think, like I was saying, there's pretty much one rhythm for everyone.
Mm-hmm.
So the one rhythm is continuously getting beat down. Yeah. And then, of course, like the Dragon's Back and the whoops were small. Like they started off the day small.
Yeah, speaking of that, so in the press box, which was a fairly low press box,
Yeah.
I remember saying, I think I could blitz across those because they looked really.
Probably not. But
I'm obviously not, right? Because if
No,
those guys are
no.
struggling, but when you from up top, they looked flat and they
were
looked
more
small.
rolled.
Yeah,
They
they looked
were-
like you should just be able to rip right across them.
They were
Other than
a
Dragon's
little bit
Back.
shorter,
Yeah.
and they were very rolled. I think because they were anticipating rain.
Yeah, yes, definitely.
And they're by far my favorite whoops, but for the whole year so far.
Because they were smaller?
They were easy. Like,
Okay.
I loved it, but yeah, I mean, yeah, like they were small, they were easier, and I think that also made people come into them faster, and then made more mistakes in the whoops because of it.
I was watching the heat race and I saw you were in 11th and I was just like, I was looking to see where 10th and 9th was, and I was like, take him out, take him out, so that Doc can sneak in. I was rooting for it.
Yeah, I didn't know where I was at. Apparently, like I watched it back. I started in 17th, made my way up to 10th, and then went back to 11th because Kessler passed me.
Yep.
I had no clue. I was there by myself, didn't have a mechanic, so I didn't know.
I didn't think about that. Yeah.
I didn't know what I finished. I was like, I'm probably sitting between like 13th and 15th and somewhere in there, just because I knew people crashed. And I get back and my dad texts me and he's like, "Hey, you got 11th."
Yeah, that's good.
I'm like, that's awesome. I felt like I rode good, but not like that good.
Did that make it a little easier mentally when you have to ride and you don't have a pit board saying 14th or 11th? And you're just like, I don't know. I'm just going to ride.
Well, like I was saying, like I felt good,
Yeah.
but I wasn't like on the absolute edge.
Sure.
Like I felt good and I felt comfortable and I was flowing, and that's what I was like. I just want to flow and just hit my lines because people were crashing. The track sucks. I feel like if I would have known that that I was in 11th, I feel like I could push myself a little harder.
Okay.
Yeah, just to
makes sense.
even if I didn't get there, to be closer.
Yeah.
Yeah, because your gap was kind of
it was
a little bit of a gap.
It was a hefty gap at the
Yeah.
Right. Well, let's talk about the track and the race itself briefly before we get to Duff. You watched it on TV. I was there, rewatched on TV. You raced it. Worst part of the track to me was that Dragon's Back. That was
100%.
terrible, right? It had an extra hump more than normal.
It did. It had 5
humps.
instead of 4.
And it bit. I mean, Barsha broke his collarbone on it. Multiple guys crashed. I think I don't remember Grant Harlan crashed. It might have. I don't know.
Grant Harlan
Was it on the same spot?
I think he may have done it in the whoops.
Okay, yeah, but still, that whole
area,
straightaway, right? There's just so many crashes that day. There's a couple times where Eli and even Chase were they'd kick a little funny. I think it was just sketchy because. Go ahead, you tell why.
Well, I think they made it the double part of it too big. I think
so coming off the Dragon over the single.
So you were having to hit it, and you had to hit it really fast.
Yeah.
Like you had to hit
there
it
was no
really
room for
hard.
error.
No, because the landing of it was pretty peaked up too. I mean, you saw Barsha's stuff.
Yep.
If that was more rolled off, of course, it probably would have still happened. But there's more of a chance of him not clipping the top of it and then just straight like ragdolling. They just made it a lot larger, double like lengthwise than I think they should have. And then of course it was 5 instead of 4. Normally they're 4. I think the only there was one round. I think there was a Dragon's Back that was 5. Not East Coast, West Coast.
Yeah.
But yeah, they just made it a little too large overall from the Dragon's Back itself to the double part off of it.
Well, Scotty, we lost Barsha with a collarbone, Benny with a collarbone, I believe. Harlan, I think a shoulder came out. Webb, concussion. You know, who knows if there was anything else that they're not disclosing. Go ahead.
You said Jason, right?
Jason. Well, he had a prior injury that he didn't realize. He had a crash, I think he said, in practice, and he didn't think it was that bad. But then he crashed a couple times, obviously, Saturday night, some pretty big ones. And, yeah, he has a non-displaced fracture at the C5 and C6 in his neck. And then Pierce Brown, actually, well, he broke his hand in practice, you know, during the week. So he's out with the hand surgery, and he's going to get his meniscus fixed. But, yeah, Jason actually didn't – I guess he injured himself prior, but he took a couple – you know, he went off – he got that cross rut and went off the track, and he took a couple other big ones throughout the night. The track bit a lot of guys, and we got, a lot of injuries. Blame some of it on the track. Blame some of it on just attrition of the season. Who knows? But, yeah, the track was pretty rough.
I think the track like that, you know, usually during the day, those guys, they're obviously they're pushing it and qualifying, and they're trying to they're riding to their capability, but it's not a race. When you have a race like that, it's May now. It's Nashville. It was probably, I don't know what the temperature was. What was it? Probably like 80 something.
I don't know if it was that hot. It might have been. I never looked.
High 70s.
Yeah,
it was still
warm. It was definitely warm.
It was sunny.
Yeah.
I mean, that track looked baked.
It was good.
And like this, and then
But I don't think it was super blue grooved, was it? Like it didn't. Did the track it? Was there
no, not really.
So,
Not
but,
for
but
me.
it was. You're right though. It was dry.
It's dry, especially compared to what we've kind of had throughout most of this season. And I just think that having those guys push like that on a dry track kind of can cause a lot of those issues. I just and there were so many fans there. Like I just don't see why it wasn't a night race. I know I live in a perfect world. It was TV and all.
It was NBC. It was an NBC race. I think.
I know.
So.
I live in my little bubble where everything should just be
the way you want it.
The way I want it. But
I like living in that world for myself. So I get it.
I think one of the reasons why it had so many crashes is because the track was so basic, as in like the layout of it. It's very easy to lose focus. It's like arena cross. It's very easy to lose focus whenever you're hitting the same thing the same way every
30
lap.
times and
because it's just like you don't your brain is like, oh, I don't have to focus. I've done this 29 other times. And that 30 time is just just make a mistake.
Yeah, and you made a good point about like, there's only one line, so that one line just gets completely hammered. So that makes sense.
Before we get to our next guest, what happened to you in the LCQ?
Oh, I had a false neutral on the face of the finish.
Why?
Like I said, it's a false neutral, which means it was between second and third gear. So not first and second.
Right, I understand. Yeah, I know. I know what false neutral is.
I know. It's just it was a painful thing to happen. I ended up hitting that, smacking the seat, racking myself so hard that I immediately threw up in my helmet. And
Wow.
Dude, that's
yeah, like
gnarly.
pretty well, like hit the ground. I didn't go down, but just hit the seat and just went, and then just everything. I drank almost a whole water like 20 minutes before my moto, and it was gone. It was out,
man.
all of it.
Yeah.
And
Not the tuna sandwich.
How far through the LCQ?
this is the second lap.
Oh, Jesus.
Yeah. And then I couldn't stand up. I stopped when they took my transponder off and almost fell over because I put my leg down because I couldn't stand up on the bike. I went to put my leg down whenever I got over to them to get the transponder off and almost fell over. Like, because I put my foot down and I just could not do anything.
Was it on the gas tank or your nuts on the?
No, so like I hit the seat and then just rolled forward.
Oh,
so yeah.
Awesome.
The old smash and smush, yeah.
Good times. Good times. Well, we got our next guest on the line. He's going to be brought to you by WUSA, which is your source for all things wheels. If you're looking for a complete set of wheels for your bike, we have something for every budget. If you want to use the same wheels used by Eli Tomac, Cooper Webb, Malcolm Smith, Christian Craig, Chad Reed, and Jeremy McGrath, just to name a few, we have what you need. We have the exclusive W Edge wheel set starting at $799. And as the exclusive importer of Hahn, Kite, and Talon hubs, as well as Excel and DID rims, we can build your dream wheels. Visit WUSA. Don't forget to mention MotoXpod to save. Tonight, WUSA brings us 2022 250 West Championship mechanic and current mechanic for Haiden Deegan, Chris Duffe. What's up, Duffy?
What's it? You call me Chris Duff?
Yes, I did.
Yeah.
Brent. Man, I was reading
You
my
were gonna
notes.
say Christian Craig, weren't you?
Yeah. I was reading my notes and I said Christian Craig and I've got it. But yeah, it's all right. It's Duffy.
How's it going, guys?
It's going good, man. How are you feeling? You recovered from a fun weekend in Nashville?
Oh man, Nashville is definitely my favorite city in the world. Yeah, that was a really cool spot. I hope we get to keep going back there.
So is it your favorite city in the world after this weekend, or did you already have some experience there? Because it became my favorite this weekend.
Yeah, I've been there a bunch in the past. Like I've always, as a privateer mechanic, we used to drive around the country, and I always made sure to stop in Nashville and like way back in the arena cross days. I think we had a couple of rounds there. Yeah,
I think I'm ready to make a petition that Nashville should be the finals.
I will sign that.
Yeah, that was so much freaking fun, dude. I got to hang out with you quite a bit. It's just a blast.
Yeah, and even though it's an open stadium, like that's one of the only reasons I would say don't go back there. I was really, really, really hoping we weren't going to have a back-to-back mutters, but last year we didn't have any mutters, so we got off pretty easy. I would have been okay with 2.
Yeah, I'm glad it didn't rain either, but honestly, all I cared about was getting out of that stadium and going out to Broadway. But we're going to get into some racing stuff. And I mentioned Christian Craig's mechanic last year, won a championship. You've worked with a ton of different guys, Justin Brayton, many, many riders. You've been in the industry a long time. But what I want to know is going from Christian, a veteran of the sport, very classy guy, very smooth, technical rider, and then going to a rookie like Haiden, what's been the biggest difference between those two riders?
Man, the veteran rider knows exactly what he wants in a bike setup, and even so, Haiden is new to big bikes. Like he doesn't know how good a bike can be, so he gets on a bike with this guy's setting and absolutely loves it. They say, well, if you like that, we've improved it, let's try this setting. Whoa, it does get better. So it's we can like just keep on making his day, like by making the bike better and better and better, versus preseason sometimes it's a lot rougher because you have someone that's not happy, and then this is good enough to go racing. But with Haiden, it's let's go racing. I love it. Oh, hold on, let's try this one. Whoa, even better. And it just seems to be the theme lately. We just keep giving him better and better and better stuff.
And he's pretty good at absorbing that and listening and going, oh, okay, and learning because I'm sure he's not a great tester just yet.
Yeah, but he's also, his dad knows a lot about setting up, dirt bikes, trucks. He knows suspension, and he's got a really good eye. So I think they talk a lot away from the track and really helps him understand his feeling and, translate that to us.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, so him being a rookie and then him also having this huge following behind him with their social media like platform. Like I know that has to affect you in some way, and I was just curious how that goes with you.
It's definitely brought a lot of attention my direction, and like I've always had people at the races know who I am. I was with JB for so long, and he's a likable guy, and just being at this level, you kind of become known. But it's pretty wild. A lot of people recognize me now, and there's also a lot of just people at the truck and noise around him, and there's just a lot more people now. It's crazy.
Well, and not only that, I experienced it walking around with you on Broadway. Like people everywhere, Duffy.
Yeah, it really shows you the reach that kid has.
Yeah.
Like it's pretty cool. It's really, really cool to see. It's not something I expected or I asked for, but it's pretty cool. But I'm just blown away. Like people don't know me because I can spin a T-handle fast. Like, it's because of him. So the more people know me, the more I'm impressed with just the size of it. And it's not, just him. It's the whole family.
Yeah.
So people are always wanting Hudson's autograph and where's your sister? Is your mom here? Like people want to see everybody. So it's pretty cool.
Yeah, moto guys are so gnarly, dude. Like, I remember seeing Dallas. I saw the line to get Hayden's autograph, and it blew my mind. I couldn't believe it,
dude.
But
it's longer than like the Eli side. With like at Daytona, they were back to back in the garage. So one side of the garage, and there was like this huge crowd around Hayden, and nobody really around Eli. I mean, it was. You kind of wonder if the other guys are like, "What the fuck, man?"
Yeah, we send our autograph line one direction, and the 450 guys send theirs the other, and I think the total's about a mile.
Yeah.
And it's crazy how many people are there, and they start lining up as soon as the pits open. And felt bad because we used to not sign till after the final qualifier, and we decided this weekend like we can't let people stand in that line for 4 hours because they will.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
It's impressive.
Just like that kid at Daytona that we did the video. He'd been standing there for I think 4 hours.
Yeah. So I think we're kind of changing our schedule now to get it early in the day because people will skip every qualifying session just to see him come in and out of the truck
and not care that they missed everything else except for
I'm sure there's
exactly.
I know you got a question, Scotty.
It's okay.
Sorry. I know there's got to be people that are coming now just to see Hayden that maybe aren't even that much, like weren't previously Supercross fans. Have you found that at all, that people are just Hayden fans and that's why they're there?
Yeah, a lot of it is, young kids, his age, and everyone tells me I watched him from YouTube when he was on 50s. And now I don't really have a chance to talk to all these guys, so I don't know if many of them have a moto background or not, but I see the Deegan merch all over half the pits.
Yeah.
Yeah, Duffy. It's so you mentioned Brian Deegan knowing a lot about the bike and stuff like that, and it seems like does a pretty good job of finding a balance between being involved but not like being over involved. And I just wanted to know, like, just for you to describe your relationship with him, how that's going compared to like how you expected it to go coming into it.
It's actually going as great as I was expecting it to be. He's not like he's a hands-on dad, but he's not hey, his bike's doing this, I need you to fix it. Like he's more so see stuff on race day that maybe we don't see. And him and Hayden study a lot of stuff. So he'll come at us with stuff maybe he sees the bike doing or sees someone else's bike doing. And it's not a lot of, I need you to fix the motorcycle. It's a lot of Hayden riding technique. So he'll spot some stuff if we're talking about changing the fork, what we think it's doing, and he'll give us his input on it. But he's never really addressing the motorcycle and trying to correct it. It's more so working with Hayden just to make sure that he can, I guess, evolve and improve.
What you talked about Hayden obviously being a rookie and kind of learning as you're testing things, how things can get better. But is there anything in particular he's super picky about?
Not really. No. He's always really good. I can normally set his bars and levers perfectly, but he's really sometimes might adjust the clutch lever, but that's it. He just wants his controls in one spot, but he's never tweaking them after every session. He just sets it and goes. He just wants a motorcycle to ride.
Yeah, he just seems like a real easy keel kid. You know, I know there's a lot of people that have opinions because they think there's so much hype, and that just makes them upset that he has all that hype. But Hayden's a good kid, man. Like, he's super respectful, and I don't know. I was very impressed with him.
Yeah, I wish everyone got to see the side of him that we get to see, like, in a normal setting.
Yeah,
like it's a lot to give someone like that much attention, you know, right away. And when there's not a lot of people around, he does make time for people, and you know, he's awesome to those people. But on race day, when there's 200 people around, they can't really see him, and he can't really acknowledge all of them because it's loud under there when they're all screaming. But he's an awesome, respectful kid. I really like working with him.
Nice.
Yeah, if you say that, if anybody at the Star tent says that Haiden was going to be the best Star guy in the East, at least, and that he was going to be second in points, both those things, like, I think it would really be hard to say that anybody would predict that. Not that it's maybe as surprising, but to say that that's the case would have been a tough ask. How has that ride been to this point where y'all are, you know, second in points with the battle with Anstey? How has that journey been, and just like the surprise of where he's at right now?
It's been unreal to watch, especially going into the futures race. You know, we were thinking we were going to do 2 amateur races, and then we're talking maybe we do round 1, maybe we just do a couple supercrosses, maybe like the middle 3 supercross races, and then quit supercross and get ready for outdoors. And we're trying to let Haiden learn racing supercross without the pressure of having to perform. Like, they just wanted him to go get experience at these races, and there was no pressure for him. And he said, no, I want to race the whole series. I want to race round 1. And it was his choice. We were pushing to hold him back and just do a couple, but he's like, I'm ready. Let's do it. Let's do it. And I expected it, you know, top 5s, like, as the season wore on and he got really good. They're like a lot more comfortable. And, you know, I packed a couple extra subframes thinking this might be a heck of a rookie season, you know.
Yeah.
He's been so consistent and so sharp, but he practices like that during the week too. So I'm not surprised when I see him go that fast, but I was kind of on the fence like everyone else. I wasn't sure if he was going to be able to race like that once you put race day pressure on him, but it doesn't seem to bother him.
No, that was something that was probably the most impressive. Like, there's other amateur kids that go pro that I expect a lot out of. Like, I have a bit of a relationship with the DeFranciscos, and I just expected so much more out of Ryder than what we've seen so far. But there's those growing pains. But yeah, with Haiden, there wasn't much of a growing pain. Yeah. And you talked about a speed a minute ago. Dude, the corner speed at Houston was like alien. That I don't know what he was doing.
He said we had him on the show, and he said he blacked out doing it. Like,
the G's, probably for the G forces.
Yeah. Like it would almost look like some out of a video game sped up.
That was pretty cool, wasn't it?
Yeah.
I remember seeing it. Like, man, that's really cool. I wish I could go that fast for a lap.
Dude, I wish I could go that fast one time in one corner.
Yeah.
Just
one. That corner specifically.
Yeah.
Hold on. To your point, Jamie, you know, it seems like a year ago we were saying we'll race Ryder when it's time, and then like now here he is, you know,
the other way around,
about to be on the podium for a championship, and Ryder hadn't even made the class yet. Like it's just so crazy how fast that stuff can change.
Just never know.
Yeah, and to kind of touch on that too. A year ago, Brian and I had this conversation at Nashville after the main event. Like, 4th place, he had a average start and came through to 4th. You know, he caught 2nd and 3rd, but he couldn't get close enough to make a move, and race was over. So Haiden was kind of bummed on it, and we weren't, you know, smiles and cheers. And I reminded him, like, man, round 1, you got 4th, and we couldn't have been happier. That was awesome. And we're talking, well, at this point a year ago, we would have never thought he could have been here, because Haiden a year ago would have been smoked by Haiden today. So as long as we keep getting this progression, I can't imagine where he'll be in another year. Obviously, it's harder to make that big of improvements at this level, but the kid soaks up knowledge like a sponge.
Yeah, I can see that. I want to touch on you for. Well, that sounds terrible.
You do that a lot.
Yeah, whatever. Yeah, I want to touch on you for a minute, Duff.
Whoa.
Hey, what happens in Nashville stays in Nashville.
Yeah, we won't talk about the nightlife in Nashville, but no, you were handpicked basically by the Deegans, right? You were available, but they wanted you. That has to be something that has to make you feel pretty good. It shows how much you've grown as a mechanic and how far you've come.
Yeah. So I met the Deegans years ago when they would come by Club MX and get ready for the Ritalins. I was working with JB. So I got to meet them way back then. And came to Star, worked with Christian. And as soon as Christian told everyone he was leaving, that's when it started coming up to me like, Brian wants you to work with Haiden next year. And I was pretty like happy to know like, okay, someone wants me to work with them. That's good. Not just here, you're assigned to this guy. And they wanted someone a little older to be with Haiden, just to be on the line, knowing he's like, I've been there. I can talk him through certain stuff. And yeah, that's pretty nice to know that someone at that level wants to work with me. But I've also been in it for a while, so yeah, I can see their side wanting someone that's been at the factory level for a while just to make sure their kid is well taken care of.
Yeah, definitely. That's cool. Cool story though.
Yeah. With that being said, are you Hayden's guy until you're not, or is it like, well, I know. And is there an opportunity that you would even pull you away from that, or kind of how do you look at that whole thing?
The agreement was come work for Haiden, and I guess it was said until the end of his Star deal. That being said, I don't run the Star team, but there's zero complaints and zero talks of moving anyone around. So yeah, I think we have a really good relationship. Him and I gel really well. Me and his dad, little brother, everyone, it's a really, really good fit. So I don't see that changing.
Cool.
Couple more things for you, Duff. How do you feel like you've improved as a mechanic over the last 3 or 4 years? What are you doing better? What are you more efficient at?
Efficient. I don't know. I think once you get to this level, you kind of pick up little tricks. I guess mainly the only time you want to be efficient is on Sundays when you're rebuilding the motorcycle all day long. So we've all got our little tricks on build day, but I think the same guy I was 4 years ago is the same mechanic I am today. I wouldn't really say I've improved on anything. I build all my wheels, so I've really gotten good at making those things straight.
Oh, I might have to send you some then. Perfect. Now I know a guy.
If they fit a YZ250, send them over. I'll even break them in for you.
Oh, well, yeah, I've got a YZ250 sitting in the shop. So, yep.
So do I.
2 more questions for you real quick. I'll just ask them together. So you just talked about rebuilding a bike. How was the rebuild after East Rutherford? Had to be one of your favorites. And does the grind get old ever?
The rebuild after East Rutherford was a long one.
Yeah.
We had to stay and wash bikes after the race, which the race was postponed. So we were at the track even later. I think we got out of there at 2 a.m. and knowing we had and that was just power washing the bikes, no real disassembly, just plastic off. So the next morning at 7 a.m. we got to the track and worked till I think 11 p.m. And then put our finishing touches on when we got to Nashville. But it was a lot of work. Just everything was hammered. Every electronic piece, like the bikes were going through puddles for 15 minutes or 12 minutes, whatever it was. So we replaced nearly everything on the bike, and all the rocks in the dirt just scratched the heck out of everything. And as far as the grind getting old, no, you know what you sign up for. Sometimes you feel like you're kind of getting in a rut, but you just enjoy it. Like, remember, I'm sitting at an airport right now, flying to a dirt bike race again. My buddies are at home, working normal jobs, going to the same building every day, and I'm going to watch motorcycle racing every single day, and I get to work on the best bikes ever. It's pretty fun.
Yeah, that's a perfect way to look at it. Brent, man, thanks for your time, dude. I've enjoyed every time I've got to hang out with you, starting at Winterset, Iowa, at that race. That was, I think, the first time I actually met you. Just a great guy. Had a lot of fun hanging out with you this weekend, and I always appreciate you as a person, and yeah, it's great talking to you.
Yeah, thanks for that. Yeah, I really appreciate you bringing me on. So until next time, thank you.
All right, Duffy, take care. Brent Duffe brought to you tonight by WUSA. All right, take care, man. Thanks.
Bye.
See ya. Yeah, he's an awesome dude, man. Really, I don't know if did you meet him when we were?
I didn't meet, maybe, but I think we've talked to him back when he was Christian's mechanic.
Yeah, I think so. I think
he's always been a good
such
one.
a good guy. Have you ever got a chance to talk to him?
I've just seen him around.
Yeah, super friendly. If you guys are at a race, you get a chance to go by the Star Tent. You know, I'm sure you want to see Haiden, but say hi to Duff, man. He's a super fun guy. Let's see. We got to get David Pulley on in just a moment. You are kind of young, so your thoughts might not be as critical on this, but have you been to Nashville?
Yeah, but
have you been to Nashville ever?
Freestone.
No, Nashville.
Oh, Nashville. I think you said
Nationals.
Nationals.
No, Nashville, Tennessee.
No, I have not.
What would you think of that as a final? Like, I mean, okay, so Vegas, like the stadium at Vegas sucks. Sam Boyd sucked. Now, if they could get it at the football stadium, I don't remember what that's called. That'd be cool. But like, I don't gamble.
Yeah.
So going out to the casinos doesn't mean much to me. Like, I don't find Vegas that exciting personally.
You didn't go to Vegas for Sam Boyd Stadium. You went to Vegas because it's the final. It's the coup de grace. It's Vegas, and it's like I think just the feeling and the aura that Vegas brings had that vibe to it. I was pleasantly surprised to see how the Nashville crowd was, even at a day race. Like they were there, and they were rowdy, and I thought it was great. I'll say this: whether it's Nashville or not, Salt Lake City ain't it. Like that is not where we finished.
That I agree with.
Like that's like the worst.
Lame.
It's like the lamest venue that we go to.
And that stadium. So that if we're talking venues, stadiums, that stadium's not great. It's a small college football stadium. Sam Boyd was same thing. And then Nashville, it's an open stadium. It's not huge. It's certainly not AT&T in Arlington.
Yeah. But
it's definitely better than the other two. Yeah. And then city-wise, Salt Lake City's by far, of those three we're talking about, at the bottom.
Yeah.
I mean, hell, everything closes down in Salt Lake City, I think, at 10 or 11 o'clock at night. Like, you can't go anywhere. Nothing's open.
Yeah.
There's no bars open, nothing. And again, like, yeah, the vibe of Vegas just doesn't do anything for me personally. I know people love it, but I feel like Nashville kind of equals it in some ways as far as the nightlife. And if you're into live music, it's just killer, man. And I'd almost say like the final should be a day race in Nashville every year, even though I don't like day races. Get it over with. You literally walk a quarter mile across the bridge over the river and you're there. You're ready to party.
Over the river and through the woods. And
to Broadway Street
you had to get trash in Broadway.
Dude, and the oh my God, the women.
Dude, so wait, did you drink?
Maybe.
Did you have a good time?
I did. I did. We'll talk off air about that.
Okay, cool.
I had a lot of fun. Yeah, the monster party was pretty cool and just spent a lot of time with some friends. I don't think I paid for a meal or a drink the entire time I was there. Like, talking about how popular Duff was, I was very surprised at how many people knew who I was.
I mean, you're getting there. I would say that I think, I'm not saying to you that you need to start partying and get to where you can just slam them back and just.
Oh yeah, that's not my style, but
yeah, I don't never see you becoming like an alcoholic or someone that drinks all the time.
No.
But I will say that the opportunity that this presents itself and the fact that you are kind of becoming a little bit of a media person.
Bit of a media person? What are we saying?
You're a.
Yeah.
You like to touch on guys, I guess.
Ouch.
Right. Hey, so, okay, my point is that I think that it's a wasted opportunity if you don't go out and have a little bit of fun.
Oh, I agree.
Especially at like places like Nashville and Anaheim one. And if you're not taking advantage of those opportunities, I think it's a little bit of a waste.
I don't disagree. We'll get back into that just for a second. Our next guest of the night's on. He's going to be brought to you tonight by Guts Racing. Andy Gregg and the Guts Racing crew have been providing the best seat covers and foam in the industry for many years. For 2023, they've added Kawasaki to their complete seat lineup, as well as the color teal to the gripper material options available. Also new for 2023 are options for your e-bikes. They have complete seats for the Talaria and Super 73 and covers for the Segway and Sur-Ron, and they have options for the Honda, KTM, and Husqvarna electric bikes. Visit gutsracing.com today and order your seat covers. Tonight, Guts Racing brings us privateer David Pulley. What's up, David?
What's up, guys? How's it going?
It's going good, man. Glad to get to talk to you again. I did an interview with you, I don't know, a week or so ago for a feature I wrote on Vital, but a lot of the stuff we talked about, I didn't use an article. So I'm going to ask you some of the same questions again because I thought you had a really cool story. For those that don't know, you've been in racing professionally for 10 years now, but I'd like you to kind of touch on how you got into the sport. Your dad was a professional jet ski racer. I'd like you to tell that story again because I didn't use it in the article and I thought it was really cool.
Yeah, definitely. So I started out riding jet skis. My dad was a professional jet ski racer, and I pretty much rode jet skis my whole life up until basically around 8 years old. I got into dirt bikes, and basically I wasn't old enough to race jet skis. And back then I think you had to be like 14 or something like that, and I was just kind of tired of waiting. So I was like, hey Dad, like I want a dirt bike. I just kind of randomly got into seeing dirt bikes and stuff, and I was like, this looks cool, I want to ride dirt bikes. And it was kind of funny how it all happened because we started out, like my dad would train in Mexico. We'd go to Rosarito Beach and he would train in the surf there for the surf competitions on the East Coast. And there was a little motocross track right there. I had like a little 50cc quad and like a little PW90 that I used to ride, and they had little races. I would race there and stuff, just like little for fun stuff. And then that's when I was like, hey, I want to get a real bike. And then he got me a YZ80, and at the time it's like 2003, I think. And we have like this 1990 YZ80. And my dad rode for Yamaha and stuff, but he didn't want to ask them for help if I wasn't really going to be completely serious and into the sport. So he bought this bike from his friend. We get it, and it had like a cow skin seat cover, and it was all like freestyled out. And
yeah,
it's pretty funny. And he fixed it. We fixed it all up, like put race kit, like graphics and everything on it, makes it look all nice for what it was. And the only race I could find at the time was the World Mini Grand Prix, and I'm like Googling dirt bike races, and that's the only one that came up. And I was like, hey Dad, can we go do this race in Vegas? And he's like, yeah, sure. And we signed up for it, and we really knew nothing about the sport, and really comparative, I guess if we knew what entries normally cost and stuff, maybe we would have realized how big of a race it was. But for my dad with jet ski racing and stuff, it was still cheaper than what they kind of paid and whatnot. So he just figured it was a regular race fee and whatnot. And we drove out there, and we're on the way out there, and I'm like, hey Dad, if I win the race, can I get a new bike? And then he's like, yeah, sure, for sure. And then we like pull up, and there's like everyone's huge RVs and just so many people there. And both of our eyes were like just huge, like wide open. And we were just like, he was basically like, we just make it through the week of racing and we'll get you a new bike so when you get home. So that's kind of how I got started. I think I raced like 7 to 11, and I didn't get last, but I definitely didn't do great. But
you didn't win.
That's what got me hooked into the sport. And just from that day on, I just knew I always wanted to get better. And my dad helped me a lot with progressing and racing, and locally and whatnot too. He would hire a filmer for pretty much every race we had. And even if I like won a race, he would have me watch the raw footage of the race and be like, oh, you didn't put your leg out here, or you didn't weight the outside peg, like little stuff like that helped me progress much quicker, since I started about 4 or 5 years behind everyone else. So yeah, and then it got to a point where my dad couldn't train and still take me racing anymore with like Ponca and all the amateur nationals and stuff. So he was 8th in the world when he retired from racing. And that's kind of how I've always had the number 8 in my number when I was growing up. I picked that on 80s, and then just I stuck with it. And so pretty much every number I've ever had has always had that number in it. And my dad pretty much gave up his dreams to help me chase mine. And I'm super grateful for everything my dad did for me. And he's super proud of me no matter what. So it's really cool. He really enjoys, he used to go to all the races with me and stuff. And now he lives in Texas, so he doesn't come out to all the races, but I still get him out to as many races as we can, and he really enjoys it.
That's a cool story, man. The fact that your dad gave up that professional career to support you, that's just rad.
Yeah, it's super cool. And it's just, it was really cool of him to do that. And in a way, it kind of subconsciously like put a little more pressure on me in a way, is like that I really wanted to do good. And I always wanted to get as far as I could in the sport, but like I always wanted to do the best I could. And especially for him giving up his dream for me to chase mine, so it was a really cool thing of him to do that.
All right, so I got a two-parter for you with that. So compare your dad to a guy like in the moto world. If he was, you said he was 8th in the world, compare him to what you think he would be as a moto guy. And then also, what do you think is more sketch, like going down like a rough, ragged out like Glen Helen or like Millville Hill, or like getting like 40-mile-an-hour winds off of like the coast of a beach? And just because I saw a video not too long ago of one of the stand-up jet ski guys, and he hit like this wave, dude, and it launched him to the freaking moon.
Like 100 feet in the air.
Yeah, dude. So like, what feels sketchier?
I've never really ridden jet skis and like surf that gnarly.
Mm-hmm.
When my dad was on tour, he had stuff like that, but my dad actually raced the runabouts. I rode the stand-ups, and I would say probably honestly, the jet skis and the surf with like gnarly waves like that. I think the video you were talking about was actually one of my dad's friends, Chris McCluggage, I believe, or it might have been Farthing. But that was a super, like, racing the surf in a jet ski is like really gnarly, because sometimes the waves can be 5-6 feet, even higher than that. And the course is like buoys in the water. So you're not just like going in a circle or anything. Yeah. There's like, and then you can't see, and you're trying to time the waves to double and stuff like that. Like, there was one race we had in Fort Worth that my dad did, and he came up on the wave and like kind of came up short on doubling it. And then he slammed his neck on the bar pad, and he thought he was okay, but we were at dinner later that night and his throat started closing up and we had to go to emergency.
Wow.
So like it's pretty gnarly. Like, it's like the Supercross of like the jet ski world. Yeah. I would say, like, surf races.
But Doc Smith's in studio with me right now. How would you like to do a double that's moving?
Yeah, I'll pass on that.
A double what movie?
A double that's moving.
A double that's moving.
Yeah. No, thank you.
Yeah. Yeah. That's what it's like. It's as if like the old MX Unleashed, when you could like jump the freestyle ramps in the back of the freight trucks going down the road.
Yeah, exactly. That's awesome. So David, go ahead.
Sorry to cut you off. I guess I would say my dad would probably be like comparable to like Dean Wilson, or a kind of top 10 guy like that in the pro runabout class would be kind of where he'd compare to.
Still pretty. That's legit.
That's pretty damn good. You got another one? Or are you good, Scotty?
Oh, that was just my two-parter.
Okay, yeah. I didn't mean to interrupt that.
No, you're good.
So, yeah, David, when you start going pro, you did some arena cross races, and you did pretty well in those. But I want to talk, you told me when you transitioned into Supercross, you thought it'd be fairly similar, but it wasn't. Kind of talk about that, making that transition.
Yeah, so that's what was really tough for me when I did arena cross like 2011, 2012, and I did pretty good. I got fit in the 2012 the championship when I raced it, and then just went into Supercross in 13, and I thought it was going to be really, really similar to how I was racing out there, and just it wasn't. On my first season, I think Salt Lake was like my first night show in 13, and then I was lined up next to Roxon, and both of us in the LCQ, because I was like 10th in the heat race, and then I went like I was going through a rut and kind of had something weird in it, and I ended up endoing over this triple in the rhythm and DNF, and then both me and Roxon were next to each other in the LCQ, so that was a little nerve-wracking for like my first night show and stuff.
Welcome to Supercross.
Yeah, so that was pretty gnarly for me, and it was just for me, it's been like a mental battle the whole time, just especially like in amateurs and locally, I did pretty well. And then in arena cross, I did pretty good. And then going into supercross, I think the first season I did 250, but then I moved up to 450 because it paid more.
Yep.
And that really hurt me mentally because I really struggled a lot more than I would have if I kept progressing on the 250. And just it mentally beat me up every weekend, not like having an expectation of where I felt like I should be or was capable of, and just not reaching that. And that's part of why I work with a mental performance coach now. And it's just, I was really result oriented, and I basically like define my worth by my results. So if I didn't do good, then I felt like I was like a failure in a sense, which like really beat me up and kind of made it why it's taken me so long to progress as much as I have, because I kind of did the same thing year after year after year. And then it's just like doing the same thing doesn't get you any different results, you know? And I was just like, oh, just need to ride harder. You just need to get more laps and stuff like that. And that's really how a lot of our sport is. It's kind of like, oh, you just need to do more laps. You need to ride harder. You need to send it. And every other professional sport, a lot of their teams have like mental performance staff for their athletes and stuff. And I didn't really know much about it until I got into it about 2 years ago, but it like unlocked a whole new game for me. And just I'm on the older side, being the same age as, Eli and stuff, but I've gotten to where like I'm progressing so much every single race, every single year. And now like last weekend was my best race, I think pretty much of all time I've had. And that was just the beginning of like what we've unlocked, I feel like. So I'm really excited to see how these next few races go and for next season, and maybe hopefully try to ride some outdoors. But it's crazy how big the mental role like plays a part in our sport and all sports in general.
Yeah, no doubt.
Yeah, David. So you've got one of the most interesting sponsors out there nowadays. Do you think that would have been something that you maybe would have built or come across without Carnow doing it, or does you kind of have to give all the credit for him to kind of pioneering that?
Yeah, I mean, I think so. What's funny is the year that Carnow started bringing the OF girls kind of into his sponsorship program, me and my teammate when we were riding on the Somnium team, Addison Emery, we had this OF girl. Her name was I forget her last name, but it was Felicia, and she sponsored like a seat cover. We did a seat cover with her and like our merch, and Somnium did like a custom seat cover. I believe we ran it for Phoenix or A2, and so we kind of were the first ones to do it, but we didn't bring it on as big a like scale as he did, as pushing it on the social media and stuff. And I was a little kind of back and forth because of my fan base on my social and whatnot. But Logan really definitely pioneered that and really taking advantage of like the full reach and possibility with doing all that. And as far as connecting with corporate OF, like I don't think it would have been possible without him bringing it in. So he's definitely the pioneer of bringing them into our sport.
Yeah, I reached out to them when he first started, when he got the OF deal. Not when it was like Hannah Ray, when OF actually officially came on board. I reached out to them, and their marketing department was very big on supporting, and supporting sports and riders like him and yourself, and also pushing the fact that it's not just quote unquote porn. That wasn't the original design, and there's a lot of other stuff on the OnlyFans website. Yeah,
totally. Yeah, it's hard sometimes being on like the forefront of it, because a lot of people think that's all the site is. But if you like, for instance, all my vlogs are released first on Watch OF TV, and that app is all just, none of that content's X-rated. It's all like cooking, fitness,
right.
Comedy shows, and they're doing so much for so many athletes and creators and allowing people to reach their dreams. Like they're in MotoGP, America Moto, Supercross, boxing, golf, touring cars. I think they have McLaren and Porsche and Ducati on board. They're going huge into the sports world to really rebrand what they meant the company to be, I believe. And just, I mean, even just seeing all these sports accepting and understanding like modern sponsorships is rad to see. And it's a cool thing being on the forefront of things, and it has its like ups and downs, like with anything, but it's honestly an amazing company to be a part of. And they really like genuinely stand by their athletes and are involved in our program. So it's really, really cool to work with them.
Yeah, I think it's really good for the sport. It's a non-endemic sponsor that we're always talking about. What you got, Scotty?
So you've actually just gotten a first on the show. You had a girl comment how you, I guess I'll just read it. OMG, David is the hottest. I'm such a fan. Please come to Cincinnati, all caps.
Wow.
So that's I don't think a girl's ever hit on one of our guests. So there you go, man.
That's awesome. Hey, I want to touch on coming into the season. You had told me that you were training with Justin Hill. So I'd like to know how that came about. And of course, unfortunately, you had a crash preseason, and well, I think it was punctured lung, broke sternum, ribs, and some knee issues. So yeah, how did you get involved with riding with Justin? And then also injuries like that for a guy like yourself, a full privateer, really sets your program back.
Yeah. So me and Justin have been friends for a while now. And when he came into town and was riding for the Tedders, we would meet up at the track a lot. And then it just kind of turned into where we're mainly the only ones riding Supercross. So we'd always text each other to go ride. And I did the same program as him, and we did our motos together, and we just put in the work. And it was really good riding with someone with his speed and just technique and everything. Even he would kind of critique me on little things that he saw when he would watch me ride when he wasn't doing his motos. So it was really good working with Justin, and just, he's a good friend of mine, and we're always hanging out and talking on track walk and stuff at the races about the track or whatever, so
yeah,
he's a super good dude.
Yep.
And basically, yeah, I rode Supercross all summer. Whoops is where I've always struggled. So I worked with Elsinore Motocross Track, and they helped me to ride their Supercross track all year in the summer. And I've just worked on Whoops literally every single day. I run a service shop. DMP Motorsports is my dad and I have two locations, a Texas one and a California, and I manage and run the California location. So I would basically go to the track at 6 a.m., 5 a.m., water, prep a few little things, and then ride until about 8:30, and then go to the shop at 9. I did that every day in the summer, Monday through Friday. And then once the season started for the tracks opening up, me and Justin were riding together every morning, and just my speed was progressing, and just I was really where I wanted to be coming into the season. And then we just kind of had that weird rain race at Anaheim, and
yeah,
I went out first lap and just went to double, a little double in the rhythm, and there was a super soft spot, and I just spun and endoed over it, and I stayed on the bike, and it just folded me as the bike went on top of me, and broke my sternum, two ribs, tore an strained ACL, PCL, MCL on my knee, and then punctured my lungs. So I was in the hospital for 14 hours after that. And then
that's it.
I was actually supposed to start my deal with OF at San Diego too. And then that kind of put a wrench in things. And then I made the switch to East Coast. And luckily I had Dr. Steve Navarro. He helped me a lot with recovery and some laser stuff that we did to speed up the bone and healing and whatnot. And we somehow were ready good enough to ride at Houston. And the tough part was I only had one bike at the time. Mm-hmm. So my bike was on the rig basically, and I was flying into the races, but I was only riding on race day. So when I was coming back from being hurt, I was on the couch 3 weeks, and then straight to, I believe it was Houston for the opener. And then if I didn't ride fast enough to qualify, which I think I didn't the first 4 rounds almost, it was really tough because I was riding 28 minutes that whole entire week, and then having to go the next week and try to like, okay, what am I going to do different with that 28 minutes I had the week before, you know? So it made it really tough.
Oh, wow, man. David, such a cool story, man. I'm really glad we got you on here finally and got a chance to get to know you. I'm sorry it took me so long, but fantastic having you on here, and thank you for your time.
Yeah, thank you. I really appreciate it, and it's cool to get to share the story with you guys. A lot of people really don't know a lot about me, and you know, it's cool. I'm pretty known just because I've been around the sport for a long time, but I definitely haven't really got to share my story and whatnot. And yeah, it's also anybody, you know, a lot of people are not really keen on, I guess, like the mental coach kind of stuff. But if anyone is interested, I work with Dr. Jay Kavanaugh, and it's rack-racing.com. And he's honestly a huge key in my program. And I believe he's what's helped me to unlock like my full potential. And still, we're not I'm going to keep racing as long as I am still having fun racing and still making money, you know? So
yeah, of course.
A lot of people, I think Kiefer actually just did an article too on like when to hang up the boots and stuff like that. And I was kind of mentioned in his article he did on Racer X, but it was a really good article he did. And there is a lot of people are like, oh, he's been racing for so long and he hasn't made a main event and this and that. And but I mean, last weekend I was actually pretty close. I was riding really well, and like in our heat race, I kind of didn't get a great start because I chose a weird outside gate, but I ended up crashing the sand on the first lap and then caught back up to 14th from last, which was pretty solid. And then we had some issues in the LCQ on the start that unfortunately we weren't able to race, but I'm actually leasing a bike through Rock River. They're a race bike for the last 5 rounds. So it's been super helpful in me being able to fly home and ride during the week. And then I fly in with my suspension and race. And I think that's definitely a lot to do with what's been helping as well. Just having the seat time on the bike and having a good bike to show up to ride at the races.
Yeah, very cool, man. Glad that you got that opportunity. And I'm going to have to call Chris Kiefer because I feel like I put the same article out, a very similar editorial that I interviewed you for last week also. So I'm going to have to see
very
if
interesting.
Chris is trying to copy my work or if I copied his. We'll have to find out who's went out first. Yeah. But David, thank you, man. Really appreciate you.
Yeah, thank you so much.
All right, talk to you soon.
All right, talk to you soon.
That's David Pulley, brought to you tonight by Guts Racing. Yeah, that's cool, man.
Yeah.
Like, yeah. So who is the chick? Is it somebody that we
whoa,
know?
whoa.
No, is it somebody that we know? Like,
I
didn't even know we had any female listeners.
Yeah, apparently we do.
Nice. Good for her. Good for David. Yeah, that's cool. We got some female listeners checking it out.
I don't think it was because of us.
It doesn't matter. As long as they're listening, don't really care. Hunter Lawrence, Supercross champion. How's it sound?
Oh, wait, I'm sorry. Say it again.
Hunter Lawrence, Supercross champion.
Yeah, I mean, I'm glad to see it. It's been a long time coming, I think, and it's, you know, I think that's gonna kind of one of those gate openers for him. Like he's now that he's done that, like I think you'll really sky's the limit now. He's showed that he can be dominant and do that, and I'm just gonna go ahead and say it. I love the Lawrence brothers. I understand the jet hype and everything. I did not care for the bringing like Hunter's on his last laps of his championship, and like they bring
it up Jet.
Yeah, like would they if they had flip flop? Were they doing that with Hunter when Jet's about to win his title?
I agree.
Yeah,
There's
like
too much Jet.
Well, I get that. I get that there's hype, and I get why they did it. I just like let him have his freaking moment, man.
I agree. I felt the same way when they were.
Well, won't we find that out whenever Jet wins his title?
Well, I think now they have to do it.
Yeah,
I think they have to do it now.
Just like his brother, you know. But the point is, you're right. They do bring up Jet a lot. Hunter is Jet's little brother or big brother, and like
too, like
good for you.
He's a champion, you know.
Yes.
Like they're not going to do that. And like if you know, if Mookie wins a championship, they're going to be like, oh, it's James' little brother winning a champ. They might. I don't know.
Certainly not as much. You're right. they push the Jet Lawrence hype like,
and I get it
a little bit,
and
I think openly Hunter's okay with it.
I know,
but
but
it would
let him have his
Yeah,
moment,
I
dude.
don't
Like
totally
it was
agree. I don't totally disagree with you. I think they need to chill it down a little bit.
like Hunter won a championship, you know.
Yeah. Hey, X-Brand has quietly grown into one of the premier goggle choices available, using some of the most grueling conditions by 2022 GNCC XC2 champion Lyndon Snodgrass, the 2022 GNCC ATV Pro champion Bryson Neal, Factory Huskies Craig Long, many others. And also, speaking of Hunter Lawrence Alpine Star goggles, they are X-Brand Lucid goggles. Just won a championship in Lucids. Visit xbrand.com today or go to your local dealership and ask for X-Brand. Tonight, X-Brand brings us from Feld Motorsports, Sean Brennen. What's up, Sean?
Hey, how are you, man?
Doing good. So the reason I got you on is for our X-Brand forum check-in. This is a weekly or bi-weekly, depending on how we decide to do it, segment where I go through the forum, Vital MX forum, and look for topics and discuss it. And one that caught my eye this week was a discussion. It's actually titled Nashville Supercross Feld Fails the Fans. And I thought, what better way to just, I don't know, go through this topic than to get you, Sean Brennen, on the phone.
Well, thank you for that. Boy,
Yeah.
What a headline, right?
Yeah. You got to love our forum posters. Look, people get, they're opinionated these days, and they like to express it, and some are good, some are not so good. Just very quickly, I'm going to read a brief outline of this, and then, I reached out to you last night to get your thoughts, and we'll see what Feld has to say. But this guy, 226 on the forum, says he went to the race. He gives all the times it started. Basically, what he's saying is his tickets were in the section 200 of the stadium, which was closed during qualifying. Much of the stadiums are closed during qualifying. The whole stadium doesn't open up till later in the afternoon. And he's saying he wasn't allowed to sit. Basically, he had to stand up by the concession stand where he couldn't see the whole track, which in my experience is not normal. Normally, you come in for qualifying and you can sit pretty much anywhere that's open. It doesn't matter. So I want to ask you if that was different this weekend, and you did some research and checked into with Mui. What says Feld?
No, the only thing that was different is our early start time at 7 a.m., which was, early for all of us.
Yeah.
But let me go back real quick and just say, hey, I think that's a great idea for a new segment. And I love that you are doing this. And boy, that is quite the headline. But it's just not accurate. And I will say, though, that, for any of our fans, certainly the last thing we want is anybody to have a bad experience. So, if this fan did have a bad experience, I'm certainly sorry for that. But no, we ran the same program that we run at every other Supercross. The only difference was the times.
Yeah.
So at a typical Supercross race, Fan Fest and qualifying all start at noon. And in between that 6-hour time period, that's actually, what we call early entry. So 6 hours of Fan Fest, and then inside the stadium are all the, practice and qualifying sessions. In Nashville, we started that at 7 and it ran to 1. And we actually opened the gates early. So we were opening gates at 6:40. And, we had to funnel everybody. So everybody that had tickets, had to go through security. So that was one thing that we did do is you had to go into the stadium first. And then once you were in the stadium, you had access to both the stadium as well as Fan Fest. So everything, was on the east side of the stadium to make it super easy. So that second street was all closed off. I believe it was gate 1 on that side of the stadium, which was right about the 50-yard line of the stadium. And you could go back and forth in between Fan Fest. And that's really what early entry is all about. And mostly that is a very transient crowd. They come in, they watch their favorite racer, and then they go back out. So to your point, yes, the stadium is never fully open during those periods. every stadium is different on what their policy is, and that's usually based on attendance numbers from previous years. Most of our California stadiums, in particular, are only half of the stadium, and it's always the lower bowl. You got to remember that this is only the second race that we've held at Nissan Stadium, so it is a fantastic venue. They're still learning probably a little bit about, our fans and, our, flow of things. But yeah, everything was the same. We had half the stadium open. Everything was on the east side of the stadium and in the lower bowl. So, for, the fan that posted this, yes, his ticket, if it was in the 200 level, that of course would not have been open until and I hate saying it because it was the daytime, but the evening program
Yeah, right.
also used to. But, my goodness, we had over 56,000 fans in Nashville and over 20,000 that attended FanFest. So, when you have crowds like that, and funneling in between, FanFest and inside, there's certainly going to be points in time when everybody's trying to enter the same space, that it's going to be busy and people are going to be, congested perhaps to, on the concourse, like the picture in the post. But the information is just not accurate, because everything was open just like a normal Supercross.
Yeah. I do want to say for this gentleman, it felt accurate. Maybe he showed his ticket to us, a security at Nissan Stadium, and they said, nope, you can't sit down. We don't know. But also you, when I brought this up to you last night, you said, hey, let me check, because if something if it went that way, I want to find out, and we would like to apologize or whatever. We aren't sure because the stadium sets their own rules to some degree, and we don't know what the security told them, but it certainly wasn't meant to happen that way.
Yep. No, and you have to realize that, a lot of the, help with ushers and things like that, these folks are, part-time help as well. So they may not, know every specific detail about our programming and may have inaccurate information, that they're dealing with.
I dealt with that.
That's
I've seen
unfortunate if he was given inaccurate information. And I don't know if that's the case or not.
Right.
But I do know that, I was there, you were there. There were plenty of people sitting in the seats in the lower bowl watching qualifying. So, to say that you weren't allowed, you couldn't see the track, it's just not accurate.
That's kind of what I thought, but I want to get on touch on that a little bit. And like I had a security issue when I got there. There was a misunderstanding with security. It got fixed very easily. And it was handled. It happens. Every venue, there's issues. Somebody has an issue. It could be a backpack. It could be anything. There's always something. It's a lot of people involved and a lot of logistics. So I think you guys do a very good job of trying to make it as easy and pleasant for everybody. Not just the spectators, but the media, the riders, your employees, etc. So, I think.
Thank you for that. And your issue, you handled it professionally and respectfully, and it was resolved in the same way and rather quickly.
Yep.
And that's the thing. If this individual got bad information, then, ask somebody else, but we are not aware through normal channels that people, if there is a legitimate complaint, we do have mechanisms in place for that. And we take any kind of complaints serious. We're in the experience business. So we want to make sure that everybody has a great experience when they come to Supercross
Nope. Are you there, Sean?
Or any of our shows. So I am bummed out that they had a bad experience. But please, I hope that nobody thinks that, I mean, my goodness, every, team and athlete, fan that I ran into, they just love Nashville.
Oh, it's the best.
You can talk about your experience, but that is a great stadium. And they are actually approved for a brand new, I think, $2.7 billion stadium that they're going to be building there.
Wow.
So we look to go to Nashville for several years to come. And, again, I certainly take his issue seriously, and I hate it that he had a bad experience. But the information just was not accurate. And from all other signs, man, Nashville was a hit. We had great racing. Unfortunately, two of our stars went down, which is always unfortunate. But from a fan experience, boy, we had a great crowd. And I know that the nightlife afterwards, a lot of people enjoyed being in Music City, USA.
Well, I told you when we talked yesterday, I think it was, I said, I'm okay if all 17 rounds are in Nashville. That includes Dallas. I'll drive. I'm good.
Yes, you did, didn't you?
I fell in love with that city.
I've heard some people say that this would rival Vegas.
Oh, I think we just talked about that. I think it's better I don't care about Vegas much because I don't gamble. So that doesn't interest me. Music interests me. And that was, I'm all in. Did you have something, Scotty?
Yeah.
Before we let him go?
This is a change of subject, but we had a listener that wanted to ask a question where, this is the first time we've done the Super Motocross Championship kind of scenario since 1983, and they wanted to know, are we going to pass down David Bailey's blue and gold #1 plate?
Oh, that'd be cool. That'd be cool to bring that back.
No, not at this time. We do not plan on doing that.
Well, hey, look, $1 million idea there, Sean. Let's make it happen.
I like it. Sean, I know it's late on the East Coast.
Great idea, and that has come up before, but no, we have no plans of, the Grand Championship. That was a different thing. This is a brand new Super Motocross World Championship. It's not the Grand National Championship that he's referring to back in the early 80s. That was a completely different thing. And this is a completely different thing as the fans are going to see this fall. So Super Motocross is completely unique, and it is a brand new idea. And the fans will see that, when we get to those rounds and they see the tracks, but also the fan experience at those rounds are going to be completely unique as well.
Looking forward to them. Sean, I know it's late on the East Coast. I appreciate you helping clarify this issue. And again, I think I told you earlier, I appreciate everything that you do for the media and the sport and the pizza. I don't want to give credit to Mr. Mathis, but I have been
that was for you this week.
Yeah, I've been lucky enough.
100%. That was Jamie Guida.
Don't say that, because then Steve will say, well, then you still owe me too.
He might. You're right.
No, he will. Yeah, he will. But no, thank you for everything, man, and appreciate you a lot.
Hey, thank you very much. And I do really like the idea of this segment. So keep it up.
I will. Thank you, Sean, and look forward to seeing you soon, man.
All right. Thank you.
Okay. Bye. Thank you. Bye. Sean Brennen, Feld Motorsports, always, great help. Are you losing steam there, Doc?
Yes.
Yeah.
Was there other people with the same complaint, or is it just this guy?
I honestly haven't read all the comments, but people definitely are kind of piling on. But so I didn't go through it to see if there were others that had that. I don't know, man. It's hard to. I just wanted to check what the rules were at that particular stadium. If the patrons, the fans, were told something different. At the very least, I wanted to make sure that it wasn't on Feld. And
I think the best point he made was you saw people down there, so obviously.
Well, here's the thing, though. Maybe the people that were sitting. Let's just say the stadium said, "Nope, you can't sit here because your ticket doesn't match that seat." So they were only letting the people that had seats that matched, right? And in whatever section.
Yeah, I've never seen them do that.
No, I haven't either. But we don't know for sure that security didn't think that, because my issue coming through the media section was with my particular media, which is Zone 2, no backpacks were allowed. I was like, well, everything I work with is in my backpack, but that's what the security was told. So there was bad information, and we don't know for sure that security and Nissan Stadium didn't have bad information, and that maybe they did tell this guy, "Oh, sorry, your section's not open."
Any information,
right? I mean, they could have said, "No, your section doesn't open until 2 p.m. Sorry about your luck. You can't sit here. We don't know."
Yeah. I've seen some stadium workers say one section will say one thing, another guy will say another. It's not a congruent thing.
All right, let's blow through these next couple sections so we can get Doc out of here.
You don't have to do that.
No, we only got 3 more things. So we're going to jump into what this would normally, if TJ was here, be the Motul Tech Tip. Motul was founded in 1853, and for decades, Motul has developed high-performance synthetic ester-based lubricants. By selecting esters over other high-performance synthetic-based stocks and combining them with an innovative additive package, Motul has created a perfect synergy. This most advanced ester core technology allows the maximum power output of the engine without compromising reliability and wear. You can find this and the entire Motul Powersports product lineup at their online website, shopmotul.com. Enter code VITAL20 to receive 20% off your order of $50 or more. Okay, this is just a random thing that happened to me this morning. Very briefly, thought it'd be a funny topic. I'm driving down the road. There's a motorcycle in front of me. One of those Polaris slingshots is going the other way. For those that you don't know exactly what I'm talking about, it's one of those 3-wheeled vehicles, 2 wheels in the front, 1 in the back. Anyway, not going to give my opinion on those things. The driver, not the rider, the driver of the slingshot gave the motorcycle wave to the guy on the motorcycle, and I said, "No, party foul. You are not allowed to do that. You are not a motorcycle."
Yeah.
I didn't like it. What say you, Scotty?
Yeah, I mean,
hang on, time out. If ML brought this point up, and I still denied it, but if the driver of the slingshot was somebody that loves to ride motorcycles but physically cannot ride motorcycles anymore, I still don't like it.
Yeah, that's 2023 PC crap.
Yeah,
I'm not here for that.
It's not a motorcycle. You don't get the motorcycle.
I mean, that'd be like me like having a CB in my pickup truck and be like, "Yeah, I'm a trucker, breaker 19." You know,
if you're driving a Toyota FJ like Doc's dad used to do, and you're like, you give the Jeep wave. No, you're not in a Jeep.
Yeah.
I don't think he ever gave the Jeep wave.
Well, I'm just saying.
I don't think you should be able to do the motorcycle wave if you're in anything but on a motorcycle.
Thank you.
Yeah.
MotoXpod show. MotoXpod show at gmail.com. Give us your thoughts. I want to thank a lot of people who did reach out with their picks of the week and highs and lows. And I was going to read some of them, but we're getting a little long in the show. I will make more time for the next one. But, hey, please keep those coming. That was awesome. I will work on prizes and different things that we can give away for some of you guys for getting involved. I really enjoyed getting the interaction with our listeners. So that was great. MotoXpod show at gmail.com. Let's get into our procs. By the way, Michael Lindsay told me it's procs. I interviewed Kevin Bailey with Race Winning Brands, which owns Prox, Pro X, and asked him how you actually say it. And he said, here in the U.S., nationally, it's Prox. Overseas, Pro X. So from now on, I'm going Prox.
Has said differently?
Yeah, he said they say it Pro X or Prox over there. Excuse me. I'm getting it all screwed up because I'm so used to saying Prox. It's Prox overseas, but here they say it Pro X. So, because I've had people say, no, I've always heard it Pro X. So, yeah, I guess either way is correct, but I'm going Pro X.
Cool.
Rooted in racing from motocross to off-road, supporting teams like Pro Circuit Kawasaki, My Team and Pro Yamaha, and SLR Honda. Pro X has been dedicated to supplying quality components since 1975. From complex jobs like an engine rebuild to simple maintenance like filters, chains, and sprockets. Pro X aims to bridge the gap between OE quality and affordability. Find Pro X at your local dealer or online retailer. Visit prox-usa.com to search parts for your bike and follow Pro X Racing Parts on social media. Pro X, highs and lows. Doc, highs and lows from Nashville.
Are we doing personal or just in general?
Whatever is your
you're the only one here that rode there, so yeah, you can do whatever you want.
Well, I mean, you could have had a high of going out after the Nashville, after the races.
You got high after the national? After the
just whatever your high is.
My high is definitely that 11th place in the heat race. It's just kind of showing myself more of what I'm capable of. Not fully what I'm capable of, but more of what I am. Low is definitely my almost death after cracking myself.
Seems like a legitimate low. Yeah.
Yeah,
Scotty?
your balls now hang lower because.
Yeah.
No, that's what the voice crack was earlier.
Uh-huh.
It shot back up in me.
Scotty, what's your high?
High is that that Sexton got a win.
Who?
Sexton.
Oh, Sexton,
yeah,
sorry.
the guy we had on the show tonight.
Yeah, I thought you said section. I was like, what?
I heard section also.
Yeah, it did. Okay.
Section.
Sure.
yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Sexton getting the win, and low. I can go 50-50 with the injuries or that the fact that it was a day race.
Yeah,
Not
normally
really
day,
crazy about
normally
those.
And watching it on TV, I get it because normally the day race, I'm out. Yeah. So for my highs, I wrote the city. Obviously, that's the only thing I wrote. This full
city,
the city, Nashville, the music, the women, the good time. Awesome place. Lows, I put injuries, early start.
Hey, those are mine.
Yeah, I know. And Steve being a bit of an ass in the press box. He was.
Oh yeah. Was that bad?
He was relentless on me, bro. He was
About what?
I blocked it all out. It was just a lot of shit. It was. Yeah, about have I found a chick? I should move to Sweden and find a Swedish metal chick. All kinds of stuff. It just you'd have to be in the press box.
Yeah, I guess that's one of the court adjourned.
Yeah, so I wrote Shane Bagley is one of the guys that reached out with his highs and lows. And I have a screenshot of his highs and lows. I'm not going to read them right now, but hey, Shane, thank you for getting in here. 6D picks for Denver. Since its inception almost 12 years ago, 6D helmets have been dedicated to the relentless pursuit of brain protection. From the original ATR-1 to its successor, the ATR-2, the goal is to develop a revolutionary design concept utilizing creative, forward-thinking technology that would change the market, improve the safety capabilities of the sports helmet. The helmet is the most important piece of your protective equipment you will purchase, so visit 6D Helmets at 6dhelmets.com or go to your local dealership and ask for the 6D and try them on. 60 picks for Denver.
What was the only one? Did I get Chase right last time? Is that the only thing I got?
Yeah, I don't think any of us got anything other than one right. I have to go back and look.
Okay.
Tell me your picks while I go back and look here, and I'll tell you.
This week, I'm going to... Wait, what did Lewis say?
Sexton, Barsha, Tomac was your picks. So,
yeah,
you got at least two on the list.
Yeah, Barsha, yeah. That.
Lewis said Chase, Eli, Roxon.
I'm going to go Chase, Eli.
It's kind of hard not to just...
and I'm going to go... Yeah, right. I'm going to go Justin Hill.
That's a good one. I actually considered that. Actually, I considered it. Doc?
I'm gonna go just kind of go out on a limb here, and I want Roxon to win this weekend.
Okay, I like it.
We're gonna go Roxon, Chase, Tomac.
All right. Again, guys, MotoXpodShow@gmail.com. Give us your thoughts on our picks. Give us your picks of your own. Anything else you want to comment? Like whether you like the show, hate the show, what we should change, what we should do better. More Lewis, less Lewis, ML, et cetera, et cetera. Do you got anything else before we wrap this thing up?
Oh, I was just gonna say, dude. Like, it was kind of a bummer to see the Barsha thing. Like,
of course.
I mean, like, dude. Have we this last month that he's had on this little role he's had? When's the last time that we've seen him ride like that? And to see it in like that was kind of I guess that can be my. I'm gonna change that to my low.
Are you going? Are you saying Barsha's the bummer, not the person that's in the points battle?
Wait, what do you mean?
Webb.
Oh,
not even being able to.
Yeah,
race
that was
true.
That's true too.
It just like ruined. Like, there's nothing else happening in the 450 championship. Like,
unless
Tomac gets hurt this week at the race or next week, it's over.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think for the most part it's over. But I do agree. Like, Barsha is riding maybe at a higher level overall for the season than he has in a while. He looks really great. I thought he could get another win. And, of course, I think last week I locked that Jason Anderson was going to win in Salt Lake City.
Oh, yeah, that's not going to happen.
I think I'm going to unlock that now.
Yeah.
So, but, yeah, good topics. I want to thank Duffy, Chase Sexton, David Pulley, Sean Brennen for coming on. I want to thank all our sponsors, the presenting sponsors, Race Tech and Boyesen, as well as Pro X, X Brand, Guts, FXR, 6D, Luxon, Motul, W, all the listeners. Thank you. I think that's a wrap. We'll be back next week, and we're out of here.